What is up, everybody? Today we are checking out the Nordvang 83 Drive. It's a dual overdrive pedal. It came all the way out from Denmark, from Henrik himself, Henrik Nordvang. He builds really great stuff. As I mentioned, it's a dual overdrive pedal. One side of it, the B side, is based on a silver Klon circuit. And I will say that I've owned both a gold and a silver Klon. When I turned on this side of the pedal, the B side of the pedal, it was immediately intuitive. I immediately did what I always did with my silver Klon. We can get into how that sounds. There's some internal switches that are really, really cool. There's some things that you can do with this pedal that are awesome that I won't actually dive into fully in this demo. I'm going to focus on what's on top of the pedal and how it sounds, because it sounds great. And then if you want to deep dive, there's things you can do with it. But I would say the Klon side of the pedal, the B side, was very, very similar to what I'm used to. Sounded great. We'll get into how it sounds in the demo. The A side of the pedal is based more on a Bluesbreaker style circuit, which is one of my favorite circuits, and we will certainly get into how that sounds in the demo. And once again, there's things internally that you can do with the pedal as far as switches that I won't get into. Once again, that's a bit more of a deep dive. As far as I'm concerned, what's happening on top of the pedal was really musical and sounded great. Please go to the website and check into, I mean, you've got NOS circuitry going on here. You've got Schottky diodes. There's a lot of stuff. If you want to check it out, go to the website and you can see every bit of information as far as what's happening with this pedal and what Henrik put into this. It was obviously very lovingly built. Okay, so what's on the top of the pedal? Let's look at the A side. On the A side, that's the Bluesbreaker circuit, as I mentioned. So you have gain, tone, and volume. That's all obvious. You have a low switch. We'll get into how that sounds in the demo, but it gives you various amounts of lows, from a little bit more to a lot more. On the B side of the pedal, as I mentioned, that's the K style or Klon style circuit based on more of a silver Klon. In this case, you have, very typical of a Klon, you have gain, treble, and output, but you also have a clipping switch that allows you to choose between two different sets, as I understand, of diodes. We'll get into how that sounds in the demo. I'll talk about my perception of how that sounds. In the very center, you have a switch that allows you to choose the direction of the signal. So you can go A into B or B into A, and there's definitely variables there that I will try and dive into in the demo. Hopefully it won't be too ridiculously long, but there's a lot going on that I hopefully can cover as far as the dynamics of the pedal. And of course you have your A and B foot switches. Obviously you can use them independently or together. And I always appreciate having ins and outs at the top of the pedal. And of course you've got your DC there. So without further yammering on, let's check out the Nordvang 83 Drive. Okay, let's check out the 83 Drive. Here's just the guitar into the amp. Got it dialed really clean for the most part. We'll have the pedal do all the work. Let's start with the B side of the 83 Drive, which is the more K-style circuit. Okay, so cool, just kind of messing around with some controls. I'm very familiar with this style circuit. It's very similar to the silver Klon I used to own, and how it, responds to every input. So I kind of ended with the output gunned but the gain down, which is a very popular way to run a Klon style circuit. But let's go ahead and turn the output down and let's check out the gain. So okay, so gain off. Gain at noon. Gain at about, 3/4 of the way up. Gain all the way up. So the gain range is very similar to a typical kind of what I would consider a Klon circuit. With the gain all the way up, let's check out this clipping mode. In the upper position, I'm not going to get into the technical aspect of which is which, but in the upper position, to me it sounds typical of a stock Klon. In the down position, what I'm perceiving is more low end and more clipping. So check it out. Now, obviously, if you're listening on an iPhone, what you might perceive, or even laptop speakers, is maybe more low mids or push. But when I'm sitting in front of my studio monitors, what I'm hearing is more saturation, more low end. It's almost like a sub-low with like more of a mid bark. Very useful, very cool feature. It's that's so you can kind of dial things to taste, but that's what's going on with that switch. With the gain down, it's less apparent, but you can still hear the same thing. Same deal. Okay, so that's the gain range. Now, obviously, the way I like to run the Klon is with the gain down, output up. So almost as like an always on circuit. That sounds great as well. Let's turn the gain up to about noon. I'll turn the output back down. Let's check out the treble. Treble off. Treble at noon. Treble all the way up. Very similar to a Klon circuit. My silver Klon, this is what I remember. It's really, really close. So that's the range on this side of the pedal. We checked out the clipping. Let's check out the A side of the pedal, which is more of a Bluesbreaker circuit. I'll just turn it on. There's the clean tone again. Let's turn on the A side of the pedal. Okay, so same thing, just kind of messing around with the gain, tone, and volume. Let's look at the gain. Let me turn it back off. So we're just a little bit above unity with the gain set where it is. Gain off. Gain at noon. Gain 3/4 of the way up. Gain all the way up. So it doesn't really get out of control. I didn't feel like I had to reach for anything to fix anything. It didn't feel like the low end got out of control. If I roll the volume off, cleans up fine. So that's the gain range. Let's leave the gain where it is. Before we mess with tone, let's look at this low setting. So in the center, I'm assuming it's neutral. In the upper position, you're adding a little bit more lows. In the down position, you're adding even more. So the way I perceive that, or the way I would explain it is, say you're playing a 1x12 closed back cabinet and you want a 2x12, then up position. If you want a 4x12 down position. I know that's really simple, but that's a really, you know, for me, it's like that's how I would explain it. When I tracked with this, I left it in the center so it would fit. If I was playing by myself, I would actually like it in that down position, the bigger position. You know, just it's gratifying. You feel a bunch more low end, but that's, you know, for me, this switch is very useful because if I just, without touching my tone stack, if I just want more low end, maybe a little more or a lot more, I can just throw that switch and that's what it does. Okay, so let's look at the tone control. Tone off. Got a really dark amp, that's great. Here's the tone at noon. Now I'll turn the tone all the way up. Still very usable. Like on the Klon side, it's like you kind of dial it in to taste. On the Bluesbreaker side, it's, you know, the difference between like that, the two circuits, even all the way up, it's still very usable. All the way down. If you've got a really bright amp or you like using a bright switch for your clean tone because it's really glassy, but then things get out of control when you turn on a pedal, it's really nice to know that you can dial a pedal darker to fit that. So that's how that circuit sounds. And then volume, just like the other side of the box, volume, if you're going to turn the gain down, you want to hit the amp harder. It sounds cool with a Bluesbreaker style circuit. As you turn the volume up, you're going to have to turn up the tone because you will get more lows. It's just kind of part of that circuit. It's to each his own. I mean, I like running it about like that. Okay, so we've covered both sides. Let's look at stacking the two sides. So right now, you can see that the arrow is pointing towards the A side of the pedal. So in the up position, let's, you know, stack things in that direction. So right now, the B side of the pedal is on. I like that tone. Let's just stack now the other side of the pedal, which is the K-style circuit, with that. And I'll just dial it as I go for like a solo tone. This is my rhythm tone. And let's dial a solo tone to go with that. think I need quite that much gain. Now, without touching anything, let's just change the direction of the pedal. Okay, my perception, I'm listening on studio monitors. In the upper position, it's more open. And a little more spread out in the down position, which is changing the direction between the two sides. It's a little bit, maybe a little more compressed, but a little bit more controlled. So that's where it boils into, you know, or down to each his or her own. I perceive more mids here, but maybe that's because I'm hearing less lows. Rhythm tone. Solo tone. If I needed to sit better in a track, then I'll do that. The other thing I will talk about is everything becomes a tone control in this case. So you can go either direction. I'm starting, and by either direction I mean your start point can be either the Klon side or the BB side. I'm starting with the BB side and adding the Klon to that. If I turn down the output, the volume didn't change that much, but the tonality did. Now, if I want more of like a Klon top end, I'll change the treble here. If I want more of a Bluesbreaker top end, then I'll work on the tone on this side. So that's where you get into it's so dialable. Pick, you know, what you want to have happen. If I add Klon style gain, that changes everything. If I add, if I take that away and add, you know, Bluesbreaker gain on the other side, then there's a little bit more low end, but it feels different. And it's hard for me to articulate, obviously, to you. You would have to be playing, but it's a really, really nice feature. Personally, I would start here and be settled on that as a rhythm tone, and then do everything here, and then make minor adjustments here. Switch down, more mids. Switch up, less mids, more gain. Which once again, you know, I can just change this without touching the tone stack to get a different tonality. Okay, I could go on and on about how to dial the two sides together, but that is the Nordvang 83 drive. If you've got any questions about the specifics of this pedal, especially the components, the NOS components, anything like that, go to the website and check it out, and you can get all your answers there. And as always, I really appreciate you guys watching, and we will see you next time.